Look up at the night sky on any clear evening, and there it is, silent, watchful, casting its pale glow across the darkness. For millennia, we've gazed upon the moon with wonder, weaving stories about its origins, its purpose, its very nature. But what if I told you that everything you think you know about our celestial companion might be wrong? What if the moon isn't what it appears to be at all? Tonight, we're diving deep into one of the most controversial questions in astronomy, a mystery that has puzzled scientists, sparked fierce debates, and even divided the scientific community itself. Is our moon simply a natural satellite, formed through cosmic chance billions of years ago? Or could it be something far more extraordinary, something that challenges our understanding of the solar system and our place within it? The more we study the moon, the stranger it becomes. Its size, its composition, its orbital characteristics, even the way it formed, all present anomalies that shouldn't exist if it were just another celestial body. And these aren't minor inconsistencies that we can brush aside. These are fundamental mysteries that have led some researchers to propose theories so radical, so paradigm-shifting, that they border on science fiction. But here's what makes this investigation so compelling. We're not dealing with wild speculation or fringe theories. We're examining hard data, scientific observations, and mathematical calculations that have been peer-reviewed and published in respected journals. The evidence we'll explore tonight comes from decades of lunar missions, sophisticated computer modeling, and cutting-edge analysis techniques that have revealed details about the moon that no one anticipated. I'm about to show you why the moon's very existence defies conventional planetary formation models, why its internal structure appears artificially hollow, and why some of the world's leading scientists have quietly begun to question whether our understanding of lunar origins is fundamentally flawed. We'll examine evidence that suggests the moon may have been deliberately positioned in Earth's orbit, data that reveals anomalous materials in lunar samples, and observations that point to characteristics no natural satellite should possess. What you're about to discover will challenge everything you've been taught about our cosmic neighborhood. And fair warning, once you see these anomalies for yourself, you'll never look at the moon the same way again. Let's start with the most obvious problem, one that's been staring us in the face for centuries but somehow gets glossed over in most astronomy textbooks. The moon is massive, absurdly, impossibly massive compared to Earth. In our solar system, most moons are tiny compared to their parent planets. Jupiter's largest moon, Ganymede, is only about 2% of Jupiter's mass. Saturn's biggest moon, Titan, represents less than 0.02% of Saturn's mass. Even Mars, with its 2 small moons, follows this pattern perfectly. But our moon? It's roughly 27% the size of Earth by diameter, and about 12% of Earth's mass. In astronomical terms, we don't have a planet with a moon. We have a double planet system. This size ratio is so unusual that it's virtually unique in the solar system. The only comparable system is Pluto and its moon, Charon, but even that doesn't match the Earth-Moon relationship. This presents our first major anomaly. How did Earth, a relatively small rocky planet, capture or form such an enormous companion? The gravitational dynamics required for this to occur naturally are so improbable that they strain the limits of possibility. It's like finding a basketball orbiting a bowling ball, except the basketball is also perfectly positioned to create the ideal conditions for life on the bowling ball's surface. And that brings us to the second glaring anomaly. The moon's distance from Earth is precisely calculated to create perfect solar eclipses. During a total solar eclipse, the moon covers the sun so exactly that we can see the sun's corona, those magnificent streamers of plasma extending into space. This isn't just aesthetically pleasing, it's scientifically invaluable. These eclipses have allowed us to study the sun's outer atmosphere, discover helium, and make countless astronomical breakthroughs. But here's what should keep you awake at night. The moon is slowly moving away from Earth, at a rate of about 3.8 centimeters per year. This means that in the distant past, it was closer, and total eclipses would have been impossible because the moon would have appeared larger than the Sunday. In the far future, the moon will be too small to completely cover the sun, and total eclipses will cease to exist. We happen to live during the precise window in Earth's history when perfect solar eclipses are possible. What are the odds that an intelligent species would evolve on Earth at exactly the right time to witness this astronomical phenomenon? It's like arriving at a theatre just as the curtain rises on the most spectacular show in the universe. This cosmic coincidence becomes even more suspicious when you consider the moon's orbital characteristics. Unlike most moons in the solar system, which have elliptical orbits, the moon follows an almost perfectly circular path around Earth. Its orbit is also synchronously locked, meaning the same side always faces Earth. We never see the moon's far side from our planet's surface, a phenomenon that wasn't confirmed until the Soviet Lunar 3 mission in 1959. Synchronous rotation isn't unheard of in the solar system, but it typically occurs when a moon is very close to its parent planet, and tidal forces have had billions of years to slow the moon's rotation. The moon, however, is relatively far from Earth, and the tidal locking occurred much faster than current models predict. Some calculations suggest it should have taken far longer for the moon to become tidally locked at its current distance. These orbital peculiarities become even more intriguing when we examine the moon's internal structure. Seismic data from the Apollo missions revealed something that shouldn't be possible. When the Apollo 12 lunar module was deliberately crashed into the moon's surface, seismometers recorded vibrations that lasted for nearly an hour. The moon rang like a bell, suggesting it has a hollow interior, or at least large empty spaces within its core. Dr. Clive Ross, a physicist who worked on the Apollo program, described the moon's seismic response as unlike anything seen on Earth or any other celestial body. When you strike a solid object, the vibrations dampen quickly. When you strike a hollow object, it resonates. The moon's response was consistent with a hollow or partially hollow structure, leading some scientists to speculate about vast internal chambers or cavities. Gravitational measurements support this hypothesis. The moon's gravitational field contains anomalies called Mascons, areas of concentrated mass that create gravitational irregularities. These Mascons are distributed in patterns that don't match what we'd expect from a naturally formed body. Instead, they suggest artificial construction or deliberate placement of dense materials in specific locations. The composition of lunar samples returned by Apollo astronauts presents another puzzle. The moon contains isotopes and minerals that shouldn't exist if it formed alongside Earth or was captured from the asteroid belt. Some elements are found in ratios that don't match Earth, Mars, or meteorites from known sources. Titanium isotope ratios, in particular, suggest the moon formed in a completely different region of the solar system than Earth. Even more mysterious are the presence of processed metals in lunar samples. Apollo missions discovered evidence of brass, mica, and other materials that typically require industrial processing or unusual geological conditions to form naturally. Some samples contained rust, which is impossible in the moon's oxygen-free environment unless the oxidation occurred before the materials arrived on the moon. The moon's age also presents a chronological impossibility. Radiometric dating of the oldest lunar rocks suggests the moon is approximately 4.5 billion years old, roughly the same age as Earth. However, the youngest lunar rocks, supposedly from the moon's most recent volcanic activity, are older than Earth's oldest rocks. This creates a paradox where the moon appears to be both the same age as Earth and impossibly ancient compared to Earth's surface features. Computer simulations of planetary formation consistently fail to produce a Earth-Moon system with the characteristics we observe. The giant impact hypothesis, currently the leading scientific explanation for the moon's formation, requires such specific conditions and precise timing that many researchers privately acknowledge its inadequacy. The theory suggests that a Mars-sized object called Theia collided with early Earth, ejecting material that eventually coalesced into the Moon. But this model faces numerous problems. The impact would have had to occur at just the right angle, with just the right velocity, and at precisely the right time in Earth's development. The resulting debris would have had to overcome orbital mechanics that typically cause ejected material to either fall back to the parent planet or escape into space entirely. The probability calculations for this scenario working exactly as required are astronomically small. Alternative formation theories fare no better. Capture scenarios where Earth gravitationally captured a passing object require the Moon to have originated elsewhere and then been slowed down by some unknown mechanism to achieve a stable orbit. Fission theories, suggesting the Moon split off from a rapidly rotating early Earth, can't explain the Moon's current orbital characteristics or composition differences. Every natural explanation for the Moon's existence requires a series of improbable events occurring in perfect sequence. It's like winning the cosmic lottery multiple times in a row. At what point do we acknowledge that perhaps we're looking at the problem from the wrong angle entirely? The mathematical precision of the Moon's influence on Earth extends far beyond eclipses and tides. The Moon stabilizes Earth's axial tilt, preventing catastrophic climate variations that would make complex life impossible. Without the Moon, Earth would wobble chaotically, creating extreme seasons and temperature fluctuations that would sterilize the planet's surface. The Moon also helps regulate Earth's rotation speed, maintaining the 24-hour day cycle that life has evolved to depend upon. This stabilizing effect is so crucial for life that some astronomers have proposed the Moon's presence was necessary for the evolution of complex organisms on Earth. But this raises an uncomfortable question. If the Moon is essential for life as we know it, and if the Moon's formation was so improbable, how do we explain its presence at exactly the right time, in exactly the right place, with exactly the right characteristics to nurture life on Earth? The evidence continues to accumulate, painting a picture of our Moon that defies conventional explanation. From its anomalous size and perfect positioning to its mysterious internal structure and impossible formation requirements, the Moon presents challenge after challenge to our understanding of natural planetary systems. And we've only scratched the surface. The deeper we dig into lunar data, the more questions arise. Questions about artificial structures, about deliberate placement, about purposes that extend far beyond what any natural satellite should possess. Questions that force us to consider possibilities that would fundamentally change our understanding of our place in the universe. What makes these questions even more unsettling is the discovery of anomalous electromagnetic properties that the Moon exhibits. NASA's Lunar Prospector mission detected magnetic anomalies scattered across the lunar surface, in patterns that don't align with any known geological processes. Unlike Earth, the Moon has no global magnetic field, yet localized magnetic signatures appear in geometric arrangements that suggest artificial origin. These magnetic anomalies aren't random. They're concentrated in specific regions, often corresponding to areas where Apollo missions reported unusual readings or equipment malfunctions. During the Apollo 15 mission, astronauts experienced unexplained interference with their communications equipment when passing over certain lunar regions. The interference followed predictable patterns, as if triggered by underlying electromagnetic sources. Ground-penetrating radar studies have revealed even more disturbing evidence. Deep beneath the lunar surface, researchers have identified vast geometric voids, chambers that appear too regular and too large to have formed through natural processes. These subsurface structures extend for kilometers in some areas, creating hollow networks that riddle the Moon's interior like a three-dimensional maze. Dr. Sean Solomon, former director of the Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory, admitted in a 2009 interview that the Moon's internal structure defies explanation. The distribution of mass, the presence of these geometric voids, and the way seismic waves travel through the lunar interior all point to an architecture that natural formation processes simply cannot produce. But perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from an unexpected source: the moon's gravitational effects on spacecraft. When satellites orbit the moon, they experience gravitational perturbations that follow mathematical patterns. These patterns are so precise, so geometrically perfect, that they suggest an underlying structure based on calculated design rather than random cosmic forces. The Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, launched in 2009, has provided detailed gravitational mapping that reveals these patterns with unprecedented clarity. The data shows gravitational concentrations arranged in hexagonal and pentagonal formations, geometric shapes that occur nowhere else in the solar system's natural satellites. It's as if the moon's mass distribution follows a blueprint, a deliberate arrangement of materials designed to produce specific gravitational effects. This brings us to one of the most controversial discoveries in recent lunar research. Analysis of high-resolution images from multiple lunar missions has identified surface features that appear artificial. We're not talking about pareidolia, the tendency to see faces or familiar shapes in random patterns. These are geometric structures with right angles, parallel lines, and symmetrical proportions that don't occur in nature. The most famous of these anomalies is the so-called Lunar Tower, a spire-like structure photographed by the Lunar Orbiter missions that rises nearly 2 miles above the surrounding terrain. Its proportions and geometric precision have led some researchers to compare it to architectural monuments, though NASA has consistently maintained that it's a natural rock formation despite its obviously artificial characteristics. Similar structures appear in multiple lunar photographs spanning decades of missions: rectangular formations, perfect circles, and linear arrangements that stretch for kilometers across the lunar surface. Each discovery is individually dismissed as a natural formation, but collectively, they paint a picture of a lunar surface that's far from natural. The timing of these discoveries adds another layer of intrigue. Many of these anomalous structures appear in photographs that weren't released to the public for years or decades after the missions that captured them. The delayed disclosure raises questions about what space agencies knew about the moon's true nature and when they knew it. Consider the implications if even a fraction of this evidence is authentic. We would be looking at a moon that was deliberately constructed, positioned, and maintained to serve specific purposes. The precision required for such an undertaking would represent a level of engineering that surpasses anything in human capability, both in terms of scale and technological sophistication. The energy requirements alone would be staggering. Moving an object the size of the moon into Earth's orbit would require more energy than our entire civilization has produced throughout history. The precision needed to place it at exactly the right distance, with exactly the right orbital characteristics, would demand an understanding of gravitational mechanics that we're only beginning to achieve. Yet the evidence suggests this is exactly what happened. The moon appears to have been positioned with the precision of a master clockmaker, its every characteristic calculated to produce specific effects on Earth and its inhabitants. The tidal forces that drive ocean currents and weather patterns, the gravitational stabilization that prevents catastrophic climate variations, even the 24-hour day cycle that governs biological rhythms, all depend on the moon's exact position and characteristics. This level of precision extends to the moon's relationship with the sun as well. The moon's orbit is tilted at exactly the right angle to create the seasonal variations that drive evolution and maintain planetary diversity. Too much tilt, and Earth would experience extreme seasonal variations that would make life impossible. Too little, and the planet would lack the environmental pressures that drive evolutionary development. The mathematical elegance of these relationships becomes even more apparent when we examine the moon's effect on Earth's magnetic field. The moon's gravitational influence helps maintain the stability of Earth's magnetosphere, the protective bubble that shields us from deadly solar radiation. Without this magnetic protection, Earth's atmosphere would be slowly stripped away by solar wind, just as happened to Mars billions of years ago. But the Moon's influence goes beyond physical protection. Recent studies have revealed correlations between lunar cycles and biological processes that extend far beyond the well-known tidal effects. Plant growth rates, animal behavior patterns, even human physiological functions show measurable responses to lunar phases that suggest a deeper connection than previously understood. These biological connections raise profound questions about the relationship between the Moon and life on Earth. If the Moon was artificially positioned, was it placed specifically to nurture and guide the development of life? Are we looking at evidence of a vast terraforming project, a cosmic engineering effort designed to create optimal conditions for biological evolution? The implications extend beyond biology into the realm of consciousness itself. Throughout human history, cultures worldwide have attributed mystical significance to the Moon, claiming it influences human behavior, emotions, and spiritual development. Modern neuroscience has begun to discover correlations between lunar cycles and brain chemistry that lend scientific credibility to these ancient beliefs. If the Moon was artificially constructed, these effects might not be coincidental. The Moon's electromagnetic properties, its gravitational influences, and its visual presence in Earth's sky could all be designed to produce specific effects on conscious beings. We might be looking at a form of planetary psychology, a system designed to guide the mental and spiritual development of Earth's inhabitants. This possibility becomes even more intriguing when we consider the Moon's role in human culture and mythology. Every civilization on Earth has developed elaborate lunar mythologies, often describing the Moon as a conscious entity or divine presence. These mythologies consistently attribute intelligence, intention, and purpose to the Moon, characteristics that would be expected if the Moon were indeed an artificial construct. The prevalence of lunar symbolism in human spiritual traditions suggests a deeper connection than mere astronomical observation. The Moon appears in creation myths, religious ceremonies, and philosophical systems with a consistency that transcends cultural boundaries. It's as if humanity possesses an innate understanding of the Moon's true nature, even if that understanding has been relegated to the realm of mythology and spirituality. Archaeological evidence supports this hypothesis. Ancient monuments worldwide are aligned with lunar cycles and lunar positions with a precision that rivals modern astronomical instruments. Stonehenge, the pyramids of Giza, Angkor Wat, and countless other structures demonstrate sophisticated understanding of lunar mechanics that supposedly primitive civilizations shouldn't have possessed. These alignments aren't merely ceremonial. They represent functional relationships with the Moon that suggest our ancestors understood aspects of lunar influence that modern science is only beginning to rediscover. The mathematical precision of these alignments implies access to knowledge about the Moon's true nature that has been lost or suppressed in modern times. The suppression of this knowledge raises uncomfortable questions about what space agencies and governments know about the Moon's artificial nature. Classified documents released through Freedom of Information Act requests hint at discoveries that haven't been shared with the public. References to anomalous structures, artificial signatures, and non-terrestrial engineering appear in heavily redacted reports from lunar missions. Former NASA employees have occasionally spoken about discoveries that were deemed too sensitive for public release. Dr. Maurice Chatelain, former chief of NASA Communications Systems, claimed in interviews that astronauts observed structures on the Moon that were obviously artificial, but that these discoveries were classified at the highest levels of government. The pattern of secrecy extends beyond NASA to international space agencies. Soviet lunar missions reportedly made similar discoveries, leading to a period of unprecedented cooperation between Cold War adversaries in space exploration. Some researchers suggest this cooperation was motivated not by peaceful intentions, but by the mutual recognition that humanity had encountered something that transcended national interests. If these claims are accurate, we're looking at a conspiracy of silence that has persisted for over half a century. The motivation for such secrecy becomes clear when we consider the implications of revealing the moon's artificial nature. Such a disclosure would fundamentally challenge every aspect of human understanding about our place in the universe, our origins, and our destiny. The evidence continues to accumulate, each piece adding weight to a conclusion that challenges everything we thought we knew about our cosmic neighborhood. The moon's anomalous characteristics, its impossible formation requirements, its precise positioning, and its profound influence on Earth all point toward a single, paradigm-shifting possibility. We may not be alone in the universe, and the proof of that cosmic truth may have been hanging in our sky, watching over us for millions of years. The question isn't whether we're ready to accept this reality. The question is whether we're brave enough to look up at the moon tonight and see it for what it truly might be. The implications of this artificial moon hypothesis extend into realms that most scientists are reluctant to explore publicly. If the moon was deliberately positioned by an advanced intelligence, what does that say about the nature of that intelligence? The scale of such an engineering project would require capabilities that dwarf our current understanding of physics and technology. Consider the precision required. The moon had to be placed at exactly the right distance to create perfect solar eclipses. It had to be positioned with precisely the correct mass and orbital characteristics to stabilize Earth's rotation and climate. It needed to generate exactly the right tidal forces to drive ocean currents and atmospheric circulation patterns. The margin for error in any of these parameters is virtually zero. This level of precision suggests not just advanced technology, but a comprehensive understanding of planetary dynamics, biological systems, and even consciousness itself. We're looking at evidence of intelligence that could model and manipulate entire worlds with the same precision that we might arrange furniture in a room. But the most unsettling aspect isn't the technology required, it's the timeline. Geological evidence suggests the moon has been in its current position for billions of years, long before complex life evolved on Earth. This means whoever positioned the moon did so in anticipation of what Earth would become. They engineered optimal conditions for life billions of years before that life would actually emerge. This isn't terraforming in the conventional sense. It's something far more sophisticated, cosmic gardening on a scale that encompasses geological ages. The moon's placement represents planning and foresight that spans epochs, suggesting intelligence that thinks in terms of planetary evolution rather than individual lifespans. Dr. Robin Brett, a NASA scientist who worked on lunar sample analysis, made a statement that has haunted researchers for decades. He said, "It seems much easier to explain the non-existence of the moon than its existence." This wasn't a casual observation. Brett was acknowledging that every natural explanation for the moon's presence fails when subjected to rigorous analysis. The failure of natural explanations forces us to consider artificial ones, and when we apply artificial intelligence models to lunar characteristics, the patterns become unmistakable. The moon exhibits design signatures that appear throughout its structure, from its internal geometry to its orbital mechanics. Recent advances in artificial intelligence have allowed researchers to analyze lunar data using pattern recognition algorithms originally developed for identifying human-made structures. When these algorithms examine lunar features, they consistently flag characteristics that match artificial construction patterns rather than natural formation signatures. The algorithms identify geometric regularities in crater distributions, mathematical relationships in surface feature spacing, and structural patterns that correspond to engineering principles rather than random geological processes. It's as if the moon's surface has been shaped according to architectural blueprints rather than cosmic chaos. These discoveries have led to the development of what researchers privately call the lunar hypothesis, the theory that the moon is an artificial construct designed to support life on Earth. The hypothesis explains not just the moon's physical anomalies, but also its profound influence on biological and psychological processes. Under the lunar hypothesis, the moon functions as a massive regulatory system, fine-tuning Earth's environment to optimize conditions for evolution and consciousness development. The tidal forces don't just move oceans, they create rhythmic patterns that influence biological cycles. The gravitational stabilization doesn't just prevent climate chaos. It maintains environmental conditions that drive evolutionary pressure without causing extinction events. The electromagnetic anomalies detected across the lunar surface could represent components of this regulatory system. Like a vast network of sensors and transmitters, these anomalies might monitor Earth's conditions and make subtle adjustments to maintain optimal parameters for life. This would explain why lunar electromagnetic effects correlate with biological processes. The moon isn't just influencing life through gravity and light. It's actively communicating with biological systems through electromagnetic signals that we're only beginning to detect and understand. The implications extend into human psychology and consciousness development. Brain imaging studies have revealed that human neural activity shows measurable changes during different lunar phases. These changes aren't subtle. They're significant enough to affect cognitive function, emotional states, and even creativity levels. If the moon was designed to influence consciousness, these effects might be intentional features rather than coincidental side effects. The lunar cycle could function as a cosmic metronome, regulating the rhythm of human mental development and ensuring that consciousness evolves according to predetermined patterns. This possibility becomes more compelling when we examine historical patterns of human achievement. Major breakthroughs in science, art, and philosophy often cluster around specific lunar phases. The Renaissance, the Enlightenment, and the modern technological revolution all show correlations with lunar cycles that extend beyond statistical coincidence. Archaeological evidence suggests ancient civilizations understood this lunar influence intimately. The precision of lunar alignments in monuments worldwide indicates that our ancestors possessed sophisticated knowledge about the moon's effects on human consciousness. They built their most important structures to harness and amplify these effects, creating spaces where lunar influence could be focused and utilized. The Great Pyramid of Giza, for example, is aligned with lunar positions with astronomical precision, but recent discoveries suggest it's more than just aligned. It's designed to resonate with lunar electromagnetic frequencies. The pyramid's internal chambers create acoustic conditions that amplify specific wavelengths corresponding to lunar emissions. Similar resonance effects have been discovered in stone circles, temples, and ceremonial sites across every continent. These structures weren't built to observe the moon, they were built to interact with it. They represent a lost technology for harnessing lunar influence that our ancestors understood, but that modern science is only beginning to rediscover. The suppression of this ancient knowledge becomes more understandable when we consider its implications. If the moon is an artificial regulatory system designed to guide human development, then understanding how to interact with that system would represent ultimate power over human consciousness and evolution. Governments and institutions that possess this knowledge would have capabilities that extend far beyond conventional technology. They could influence human behavior, guide social development, and even control the direction of human evolution by manipulating our relationship with lunar forces. Evidence suggests that such knowledge exists and is being actively concealed. Classified research programs have investigated lunar influence on human psychology for decades. Military applications of these discoveries remain highly classified, but declassified documents hint at technologies that can modulate human behavior through artificial reproduction of lunar electromagnetic effects. The famous Gateway Experience documents released by the CIA describe techniques for altering consciousness through exposure to specific electromagnetic frequencies that correspond to lunar emissions. These documents suggest that intelligence agencies have developed methods for artificially reproducing the moon's consciousness-altering effects. If these capabilities exist, they represent a form of mind control technology that operates on the same principles as the moon's natural influence on human consciousness. The implications are staggering. The power to shape human thought and behavior using the same mechanisms that have guided human development for millennia. This brings us to perhaps the most disturbing possibility of all. If the moon was placed by an advanced intelligence to guide human development, and if that intelligence is still active, then humanity may not be developing independently. We may be following a predetermined path, guided by forces we don't understand toward goals we haven't chosen. The precision with which the moon influences every aspect of Earth's environment and life suggests ongoing management rather than passive observation. The electromagnetic anomalies, the gravitational effects, the biological influences, they all point to an active system that continues to monitor and adjust conditions on Earth. Recent anomalous readings from lunar monitoring stations suggest that this activity may be increasing. Electromagnetic emissions from the moon have grown stronger over the past decade, corresponding to periods of rapid technological and social change on Earth. It's as if the lunar regulatory system is responding to humanity's development by intensifying its influence. Space agencies have detected structured signals emanating from the lunar interior that follow mathematical patterns. These signals aren't random electromagnetic noise. They're organized transmissions that suggest deliberate communication or control protocols. The signals intensify during periods of global crisis or significant technological breakthroughs, as if responding to humanity's developmental milestones. The most recent signal analysis has identified patterns that correspond to human brainwave frequencies, particularly those associated with decision-making and problem-solving. It's as if the moon is monitoring human cognitive development and transmitting signals designed to influence our thought processes. These discoveries have led some researchers to propose that humanity is participating in a vast consciousness experiment, guided by intelligence, that views our development from a perspective that spans geological ages. We may be subjects in a study of consciousness evolution, observed and guided by entities whose patience is measured in millions of years rather than human lifetimes. The evidence supporting this hypothesis continues to accumulate. Each new lunar mission reveals additional anomalies that strengthen the case for artificial construction. Each advance in our understanding of consciousness reveals deeper connections between human awareness and lunar influence. Each breakthrough in physics provides new frameworks for understanding how such a vast engineering project could be implemented and maintained. The moon's true nature may represent the greatest discovery in human history, or the most carefully guarded secret. The implications touch every aspect of human existence, from our understanding of physics and consciousness to our concepts of free will and destiny. As we stand on the threshold of becoming a spacefaring civilization ourselves, the question of the moon's artificial nature becomes more than academic curiosity. It becomes a fundamental question about our place in the cosmic order and our relationship with intelligences that may have been watching over us since before our species existed. The evidence is there, waiting in the data, hiding in plain sight in our night sky. The question isn't whether we have the technology to discover the truth about the moon. We've had that technology for decades. The question is whether we have the courage to face what that truth might reveal about ourselves and our cosmic significance. The mathematical impossibilities don't stop with the moon's positioning and electromagnetic properties. When we examine the moon's rotational dynamics, we encounter another layer of anomalies that defies conventional explanation. The moon's rotational period matches its orbital period with such precision that the same hemisphere always faces Earth. This synchronous rotation, as we discussed, shouldn't have occurred naturally at the moon's current distance from Earth. But here's what makes it even more suspicious. Computer models of tidal evolution show that if the moon had formed naturally and gradually moved to its current position, it should have passed through multiple resonance states during its outward migration. Each of these resonance states would have temporarily locked the moon's rotation at different ratios, perhaps showing us two faces, or three, or spinning freely for periods of time. Yet there's no evidence in the lunar surface features of these transitional rotation states. The moon's far side, permanently hidden from Earth, shows impact patterns and geological features that suggest it has maintained its current orientation for billions of years. There are no signs of the rotational chaos that should have occurred during natural tidal evolution. Dr. Isaac Asimov, the renowned scientist and science fiction author, once calculated the probability of the moon's synchronous rotation occurring naturally at its current distance. His conclusion was startling. The odds were so astronomical that he famously stated it was too much of a coincidence to be coincidence. Asimov was suggesting, in carefully chosen words, that the moon's rotational characteristics appeared to be the result of deliberate arrangement rather than cosmic chance. This brings us to one of the most rarely makes it into mainstream scientific reading aspects of lunar research that discussions. The moon's libration patterns, the subtle wobbling motions that allow us to see slightly more than half of the lunar surface over time, follow mathematical sequences that correspond to Earth's geological and biological cycles. These libration cycles correlate with ice age patterns, magnetic pole reversals, and even mass extinction events in ways that suggest coordination rather than coincidence. It's as if the moon's movements are timed to coincide with major transitions in Earth's development, providing additional evidence for the hypothesis that our satellite serves as more than a passive companion. The precision of these correlations has led some researchers to develop what they call lunar chronometry, the study of how moon cycles correspond to Earth's developmental milestones. The data reveals patterns that extend back hundreds of millions of years, showing consistent relationships between lunar behavior and planetary changes that shaped the evolution of life. But perhaps the most compelling evidence for the moon's artificial nature comes from its response to external forces. When comets or asteroids impact the moon, the resulting seismic waves behave in ways that suggest the lunar interior contains manufactured structures rather than natural geological formations. The Apollo 13 mission, famous for its near disaster, provided an unexpected opportunity to study the moon's internal structure. When the mission's third stage impactor struck the lunar surface, seismometers recorded vibrations that lasted for over 3 hours. The wave patterns showed characteristics consistent with sound traveling through constructed chambers and corridors rather than solid rock or natural cavities. Dr. Maurice Ewing, co-director of the Lamont Doherty Geological Observatory, analyzed these seismic readings and made a statement that sent ripples through the scientific community. The moon is responding like a hollow sphere. He later clarified that the data suggested large void spaces within the moon that couldn't be explained by known geological processes. Follow-up analysis of seismic data from multiple Apollo missions revealed that these void spaces aren't randomly distributed. They follow geometric patterns that suggest architectural design. Some voids appear to be connected by tunnel-like structures that extend for hundreds of kilometers beneath the lunar surface, creating what can only be described as an underground network. The discovery of this subsurface architecture has profound implications. Natural geological processes don't create geometric tunnel systems or regularly spaced void chambers. These features suggest the moon's interior was deliberately excavated and structured, possibly to reduce mass while maintaining structural integrity, exactly what you'd expect from an artificial construct designed for precise gravitational effect. Recent advances in ground-penetrating radar technology have provided even more detailed images of the moon's internal structure. The Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter has mapped subsurface features that reveal geometric patterns extending deep into the lunar interior. These patterns show hexagonal and pentagonal arrangements that mirror the surface gravitational anomalies we discussed earlier. The geometric consistency between surface and subsurface features suggests the entire Moon was constructed according to a unified architectural plan. The surface gravitational anomalies aren't random concentrations of mass. They're the visible manifestations of a deeper structural framework that extends throughout the lunar interior. This architectural approach to lunar construction would explain many of the Moon's anomalous properties. The precise gravitational effects, the electromagnetic anomalies, the seismic characteristics, and even the orbital stability all become logical consequences of deliberate engineering rather than impossible coincidences. But who could have undertaken such a massive construction project? The engineering capabilities required would surpass anything in human technology by orders of magnitude. We're talking about moving, shaping, and positioning an object with a mass of 73 quintillion kilograms. That's 73 followed by 18 zeros. The energy requirements alone would exceed the total energy output of our Sun for millions of years. Yet the evidence suggests this is exactly what occurred. And the most unsettling aspect is the timeline. Geological dating indicates the Moon has occupied its current position for at least 4 billion years, long before complex life existed on Earth. This means the lunar construction project was completed in anticipation of Earth's biological development, suggesting planning and foresight that spans geological epochs. The implications extend beyond mere technological capability into questions of motivation and purpose. Why would an advanced intelligence invest such enormous resources in creating optimal conditions for life on Earth? What interest could they have in nurturing the development of consciousness on a distant planet over billions of years? Some researchers have proposed that Earth serves as a kind of cosmic laboratory, with the Moon functioning as a control mechanism that allows for precise management of evolutionary pressures. Under this hypothesis, life on Earth isn't developing naturally but is being guided through predetermined stages by intelligences that view biological evolution from a perspective that encompasses millions of years. This laboratory hypothesis would explain the Moon's seemingly perfect characteristics for supporting life. The tidal forces that drive ocean circulation and atmospheric mixing, the gravitational stabilization that prevents catastrophic climate variations, the electromagnetic effects that influence biological processes, all could be features of a vast experimental apparatus designed to optimize conditions for consciousness development. Evidence supporting this hypothesis comes from an unexpected source: the mathematical relationships between lunar cycles and evolutionary milestones. Analysis of the fossil record reveals that major evolutionary breakthroughs, the emergence of complex cells, the development of sexual reproduction, the rise of multicellular organisms, occurred during specific phases of long-term lunar cycles. These correlations aren't subtle. The timing of evolutionary advances shows statistical relationships with lunar position cycles that extend over millions of years. It's as if evolution itself is being orchestrated according to a cosmic schedule that's regulated by the Moon's influence on Earth's environment and biology. The precision of these correlations has led some researchers to develop mathematical models that predict future evolutionary developments based on lunar cycle analysis. These models suggest we may be approaching another major evolutionary milestone, triggered by changes in the Moon's electromagnetic output that correspond to humanity's technological and consciousness development. Recent measurements have detected alterations in the Moon's electromagnetic signature that coincide with major human technological achievements. The development of nuclear weapons, the advent of global communications, the emergence of artificial intelligence, each milestone has been accompanied by measurable changes in lunar electromagnetic emissions. These changes aren't random fluctuations. They follow patterns that suggest responsive adjustment, as if the Moon's regulatory systems are adapting to humanity's rapid technological development. Electromagnetic monitoring stations have recorded structured signals from the Moon that intensify during periods of significant human achievement or crisis. The signals themselves are fascinating. They consist of precisely timed electromagnetic pulses that correspond to human brainwave frequencies, particularly those associated with creative thinking and problem-solving. It's as if the moon is transmitting signals designed to influence human cognitive development during crucial periods of advancement. Space agencies have been aware of these signals for decades, but have classified most of the research under national security protocols. Declassified documents reveal that both American and Soviet space programs detected structured lunar transmissions as early as the 1962nd, leading to secret joint research projects that continued throughout the Cold War. The existence of these classified programs raises profound questions about what governments know regarding the moon's true nature. If the moon is indeed an artificial construct that influences human development, then understanding its mechanisms would represent unprecedented power over human consciousness and evolution. Evidence suggests that such understanding may already exist in classified form. Military research into consciousness manipulation has investigated techniques that mirror the moon's natural influence on human psychology. Patents exist for devices that can reproduce lunar electromagnetic effects artificially, suggesting practical applications of lunar influence research. The development of these technologies implies that the moon's consciousness-altering mechanisms have been reverse-engineered and weaponized. The implications are staggering. The power to control human behavior using the same principles that have guided human development for millennia. But perhaps the most disturbing possibility is that these technologies are already being deployed. Analysis of global electromagnetic emissions reveals artificial signals that match lunar frequency patterns being broadcast from facilities worldwide. These signals correspond to periods of significant social and political change, suggesting possible applications of lunar influence technology for population control. The pattern of secrecy surrounding lunar research extends beyond individual governments to international organizations and scientific institutions. Certain areas of lunar research remain classified across multiple nations, suggesting global coordination in suppressing discoveries about the moon's artificial nature. This coordination becomes more understandable when we consider the implications of revealing the truth about the moon. Such a disclosure would fundamentally challenge human understanding of our place in the universe, our relationship with advanced intelligences, and our freedom to determine our own evolutionary path. The evidence for the moon's artificial construction continues to accumulate, each discovery adding weight to a conclusion that challenges every assumption about our cosmic environment. From the mathematical impossibilities of its formation to the geometric precision of its internal structure, from its responsive electromagnetic behavior to its profound influence on consciousness development, the moon presents characteristics that can only be explained by deliberate construction and ongoing management. We stand at a crossroads in human understanding. The technology exists to definitively determine the moon's true nature, but the implications of that knowledge may be too profound for our current level of social and psychological development. We may not be ready to learn that we've been subjects in a cosmic experiment, spanning billions of years, guided by intelligences whose patience is measured in geological ages. Yet the truth continues to reveal itself through careful analysis and open-minded investigation. Each lunar mission provides additional data that supports the artificial construction hypothesis. Each advance in our understanding of consciousness reveals deeper connections between human awareness and lunar influence. Each breakthrough in electromagnetic research provides new insights into the mechanisms by which the moon regulates Earth's environment and biology. The moon's secret may be the greatest discovery in human history, hidden in plain sight above our heads every night. The question isn't whether we have the capability to uncover this truth. We've possessed that capability for decades. The question is whether we have the wisdom to handle what that truth reveals about our cosmic significance and our relationship with intelligences that may have been shepherding our development since before our species existed. As we continue to explore space and develop our own capabilities for planetary engineering, the Moon's example provides both inspiration and warning. If we are indeed the products of cosmic gardening on an unimaginable scale, what responsibilities does that knowledge carry? What obligations do we have to the intelligences that may have invested billions of years in our development? And what does our growing awareness of the Moon's true nature signal about the next phase of human evolution? The answers to these questions may determine not just our understanding of the past, but our path into the future. The Moon has been our silent companion throughout human history, but it may also be our guide to cosmic citizenship and our introduction to intelligences that have been waiting patiently for us to develop the wisdom to recognize their presence. Tonight, when you look up at the Moon, remember that you may be gazing upon the greatest engineering achievement in the solar system, a testament to intelligence and foresight that spans epochs. The pale light that has inspired poets and philosophers for millennia may be the glow of artificial systems that have been nurturing our development since before our ancestors walked upright. The Moon's true nature remains officially unacknowledged, buried beneath layers of classification and institutional denial. But the evidence speaks for itself, waiting in the data for those brave enough to follow the implications to their logical conclusion. We may not be alone in the universe, and the proof of that cosmic truth may have been watching over us, regulating our development, and guiding our evolution towards some greater purpose that we're only beginning to glimpse. The deeper implications of this cosmic engineering project become even more staggering when we examine the Moon's relationship with human reproduction and biological rhythms. Medical research has documented correlations between lunar cycles and human fertility that extend far beyond folklore and superstition. Hospital records show statistically significant variations in birth rates that correspond to lunar phases, with peaks occurring during full moons that can't be explained by random chance. But these reproductive correlations may be just the tip of the iceberg. Recent studies in chronobiology have revealed that human cellular regeneration follows lunar cycles with mathematical precision. DNA repair mechanisms, hormone production, and even immune system function show measurable fluctuations that mirror the Moon's phases. It's as if our biology is synchronized to an external timekeeper, responding to signals we're only beginning to detect. Dr. Beverly Rubik, a biophysicist who has studied electromagnetic effects on biological systems, discovered that human blood samples show different electrical properties depending on lunar phases. The changes are subtle but consistent, suggesting that the Moon's electromagnetic influence penetrates to the cellular level. Her research indicates that the very chemistry of life responds to lunar cycles in ways that imply deliberate biological programming. This programming extends beyond individual physiology into collective human behavior. Statistical analysis of historical events reveals patterns that correlate with lunar cycles across millennia. Wars, revolutions, artistic movements, and scientific breakthroughs cluster around specific lunar phases with consistency that defies random distribution. It's as if human civilization itself follows a rhythm dictated by our celestial companion. The implications become even more profound when we consider the Moon's role in human consciousness development. Neurological research has identified brainwave patterns that synchronize with lunar electromagnetic emissions, particularly in areas of the brain associated with intuition, creativity, and higher cognitive function. During certain lunar phases, human consciousness appears to be more receptive to information processing and pattern recognition. Ancient cultures understood this relationship intimately. Sacred ceremonies, initiation rites, and important decisions were timed to coincide with specific lunar phases when human consciousness was believed to be most receptive to higher knowledge. Archaeological evidence suggests these practices weren't based on superstition, but on sophisticated understanding of lunar influence on human psychology. The precision of these ancient lunar calculations rivals modern astronomical instruments. Stone circles, temples, and ceremonial sites worldwide demonstrate mathematical relationships with lunar positions that require advanced knowledge of celestial mechanics. Our ancestors somehow possessed information about lunar influence that we're only now beginning to rediscover through scientific analysis. This lost knowledge may have included understanding of the moon's artificial nature. Ancient texts from multiple cultures contain references to the moon being placed in the sky by divine beings or advanced civilizations. These accounts are typically dismissed as mythology, but their consistency across unconnected cultures suggests possible historical memory of the moon's construction and positioning. The Sumerian texts, among the oldest written records in human history, describe the moon as an artificial body created by the Anunnaki, beings from the heavens who shaped human civilization. While mainstream archaeology interprets these as mythological narratives, the technical details in these ancient accounts show surprising accuracy about lunar characteristics that wouldn't be discovered by modern science for thousands of years. Similar accounts appear in Hindu texts, Native American oral traditions, and African folklore. Each culture describes the moon's arrival in Earth's orbit as a deliberate act by advanced beings who sought to create optimal conditions for human development. The global distribution of these stories suggests they may preserve actual historical memories rather than independent mythological inventions. The suppression of this ancient knowledge becomes more understandable when we consider its implications for modern power structures. If humanity possesses innate knowledge of cosmic engineering and advanced consciousness technologies, then current paradigms of scarcity and limitation become unnecessary constraints rather than natural laws. Evidence suggests that certain institutions have preserved fragments of this ancient knowledge while keeping it hidden from general human awareness. Secret societies, religious organizations, and governmental agencies have maintained traditions and practices that demonstrate sophisticated understanding of lunar influence on human consciousness and behavior. The Vatican's Astronomical Observatory, for example, has conducted classified research into lunar electromagnetic effects for decades. Their findings remain sealed in archives that are rarely accessed by outside researchers. Similarly, intelligence agencies worldwide have investigated applications of lunar cycle knowledge for psychological operations and behavior modification programs. These classified programs have developed technologies that can artificially reproduce the moon's consciousness-altering effects. Patents exist for devices that generate electromagnetic fields matching lunar frequencies, suggesting practical applications for influencing human psychology and decision-making processes. The implications for population control and social engineering are profound and disturbing, but perhaps the most significant discovery in recent lunar research is evidence that the moon's regulatory systems are becoming more active. Electromagnetic monitoring stations have detected increasing signal strength from lunar sources over the past several decades, corresponding to humanity's rapid technological advancement and growing global connectivity. These intensifying signals appear to be triggering accelerated changes in human consciousness development. Surveys of global population show increasing reports of enhanced intuition, psychic experiences, and expanded awareness that correlate with periods of heightened lunar electromagnetic activity. It's as if the moon's influence systems are adapting to humanity's developmental stage. The acceleration may be intentional, designed to guide humanity through a crucial transition period in our evolution. Computer models of consciousness development suggest we're approaching a threshold where collective human awareness could undergo a fundamental transformation. The moon's increasing activity might be preparing us for this evolutionary leap. This transformation appears to be multifaceted, affecting not just individual consciousness, but collective intelligence and social organization. Global communication networks have created unprecedented connectivity between human minds, potentially forming the foundation for a planetary consciousness that mirrors the integrated systems we observe in the moon's construction. The timing of this consciousness evolution coincides with humanity's emergence as a spacefaring civilization capable of detecting and understanding the moon's artificial nature. It's as if we're being prepared to graduate from unconscious subjects of cosmic engineering to conscious participants in galactic civilization. Recent space missions have detected signals from the moon that appear to be communications rather than mere regulatory transmissions. These structured signals follow mathematical patterns that suggest attempts at contact with human intelligence. The complexity of the patterns has been increasing, as if responding to improvements in human technological capabilities. Analysis of these communication attempts reveals information about stellar mechanics, consciousness development, and cosmic engineering principles that exceed current human knowledge. The transmissions appear to be educational, designed to gradually expand human understanding of our place in the galactic community and our relationship with advanced intelligences. The implications extend beyond academic knowledge into practical capabilities. Some of the lunar transmissions contain technical information about energy generation, consciousness enhancement, and space travel technologies that could revolutionize human civilization. The knowledge is being released gradually, as if timed to match humanity's readiness to responsibly utilize such advanced capabilities. This graduated disclosure suggests that the intelligences responsible for the moon's construction are actively monitoring human development and adjusting their communications accordingly. We're not just subjects in a cosmic experiment. We're students in a vast educational program that spans millennia and encompasses the development of consciousness itself. The question of when humanity will be deemed ready for full disclosure remains unanswered. Current global conflicts, environmental destruction, and social inequality suggest we may still be in the early stages of the consciousness development program that the moon was designed to facilitate. Yet the accelerating pace of technological advancement and growing global awareness indicate we may be approaching critical developmental milestones. Space agencies have detected increasing numbers of anomalous objects in Earth's vicinity that appear to be monitoring human activities. These objects show movement patterns and electromagnetic signatures similar to the moon, suggesting they may be components of the same vast monitoring and guidance system. We may be approaching a time when the hidden intelligence behind lunar construction will reveal itself more directly. The evidence suggests that revelation is imminent. Changes in the moon's electromagnetic output, increasing reports of consciousness expansion, and the rapid advancement of human technology all point toward a convergence point where humanity's cosmic education program may enter a new phase. The moon that has silently guided our development for billions of years may soon begin to communicate more openly. As we stand on the threshold of this potential revelation, the question becomes not whether we're alone in the universe, but whether we're ready to accept our role as junior members of a galactic community that has been nurturing our development since before our species existed. The moon's true nature may represent our introduction to cosmic citizenship and our invitation to participate consciously in the vast intelligence networks that span the galaxy. The artificial moon hypothesis isn't just about understanding our satellite's true nature. It's about recognizing our place in a cosmic hierarchy of consciousness that extends far beyond Earth. The pale light that has inspired human poetry and philosophy for millennia may be the gentle guidance of cosmic teachers who have invested billions of years in our development, patiently waiting for us to evolve the wisdom necessary to recognize their presence and accept their invitation to join the greater community of galactic intelligence. Tonight, when you gaze upon the moon, you may be looking at humanity's greatest teacher, our cosmic parent, and our introduction to a universe far more intelligent, purposeful, and interconnected than we ever dared imagine. The question isn't whether we're ready for this truth. The question is whether we're brave enough to let it transform our understanding of everything we thought we knew about our cosmic heritage and our universal destiny. The evidence we've uncovered paints a picture so extraordinary that it challenges the very foundations of human understanding. Yet as we piece together these lunar anomalies, electromagnetic signatures, and consciousness correlations, we must confront an even more unsettling possibility. What if the moon's influence on human development isn't just passive guidance, but active intervention in the direction of our species' evolution? Recent analysis of human genetic development reveals patterns that shouldn't exist if evolution proceeded purely through natural selection. Certain mutations that led to expanded brain capacity, enhanced pattern recognition, and increased sensitivity to electromagnetic fields appear in the fossil record with timing that correlates precisely with specific lunar orbital adjustments. These aren't gradual changes spanning millions of years. They're rapid genetic shifts that occur during brief periods when the moon's electromagnetic output shows dramatic spikes. Dr. Patricia Williams, a geneticist who has studied human evolutionary anomalies, discovered that key genetic markers associated with higher intelligence appeared simultaneously in human populations across multiple continents approximately 40,000 years ago. This global genetic shift coincides exactly with astronomical records showing the moon entering a new phase of its long-term orbital cycle. The correlation suggests that human consciousness development isn't just influenced by lunar cycles, but may be directly triggered by them. The implications become even more staggering when we examine the specific nature of these genetic modifications. The mutations that led to enhanced human cognitive abilities target the exact brain regions that show sensitivity to electromagnetic frequencies matching the moon's emissions. It's as if our species was genetically programmed to be receptive to lunar influence, with our evolutionary development guided by signals from our artificial satellite. This genetic programming extends beyond cognitive enhancement into areas that suggest preparation for specific future capabilities. Human DNA contains what geneticists call junk DNA, sequences that don't appear to code for any current biological function. Yet recent analysis reveals that some of these dormant genetic sequences become active during periods of intense lunar electromagnetic activity, suggesting they may be designed to unlock future human capabilities when the appropriate activation signals are received. Brain imaging studies of individuals exposed to artificially reproduced lunar electromagnetic frequencies show activation of these normally dormant genetic sequences. The subjects develop enhanced intuitive abilities, improved pattern recognition, and in some cases, apparent telepathic sensitivity. It's as if the moon's influence is designed to gradually unlock human potential through electromagnetic genetic activation. The military implications of this discovery have led to highly classified research programs investigating the weaponization of lunar influence technologies. Documents obtained through Freedom of Information Act requests, heavily redacted but still revealing, describe experiments in consciousness manipulation using artificially generated lunar frequency patterns. The research suggests that human behavior can be modified on a mass scale by broadcasting electromagnetic signals that mimic the moon's natural influence. These programs have developed technologies that can enhance or suppress specific aspects of human consciousness by manipulating the electromagnetic environment. Creativity can be stimulated, aggression can be increased or decreased, and even memory formation can be influenced by exposing populations to precisely calibrated electromagnetic fields that reproduce lunar effects. The existence of these technologies raises profound questions about the extent to which human behavior is already being artificially influenced. Analysis of global electromagnetic emissions reveals that artificial lunar frequency signals are being broadcast from facilities worldwide, often during periods of significant political or social change. The correlation between these broadcasts and major historical events suggests that human civilization may already be subject to electromagnetic manipulation on a planetary scale. But the most disturbing discovery is that these artificial signals are becoming increasingly sophisticated, incorporating patterns that don't match any known lunar cycles. It appears that whoever originally constructed the moon has begun to supplement its natural regulatory systems with additional artificial signals designed to accelerate human development beyond the original timeline. Space monitoring stations have detected these supplementary signals originating from various points in the solar system, suggesting an extensive network of artificial devices working in coordination with the Moon to manage human consciousness development. We may be witnessing the activation of backup systems designed to guide humanity through a crucial evolutionary transition. The transition appears to be related to humanity's emerging capability to detect and understand the artificial nature of our cosmic environment. As our technology advances and our awareness expands, the hidden intelligence behind the Moon's construction may be preparing to reveal itself more directly. The supplementary signals could be conditioning human consciousness to accept the reality of advanced extraterrestrial or interdimensional intelligence. Recent psychological surveys reveal that acceptance of extraterrestrial intelligence has increased dramatically over the past decade, coinciding with intensified electromagnetic activity from both the Moon and these supplementary sources. Public opinion polls show growing belief in the possibility of advanced civilizations influencing human development, suggesting that the consciousness conditioning program may be working as intended. The gradual disclosure of lunar anomalies through mainstream scientific channels appears to be part of this conditioning process. Information about the Moon's hollow interior, its electromagnetic anomalies, and its impossible formation characteristics is being released in measured doses, allowing human consciousness to slowly adjust to the reality of artificial construction in our solar system. Space agencies have begun acknowledging anomalies they previously dismissed or classified. NASA has released high-resolution images showing geometric structures on the lunar surface that were once considered too sensitive for public viewing. The gradual disclosure suggests a coordinated effort to prepare humanity for more dramatic revelations about our cosmic situation. The timeline for full disclosure remains unclear, but indicators suggest it may be accelerating. Changes in the Moon's electromagnetic output, the increasing sophistication of supplementary signals, and the rapid advancement of human consciousness detection technology all point toward a convergence that could result in direct contact within the next few decades. So here we are, at the edge of perhaps the most profound revelation in human history. The evidence laid before us tonight doesn't offer easy answers or comfortable conclusions. Instead, it presents us with a reality so extraordinary that it demands we fundamentally reconsider everything we thought we knew about our place in the cosmos. The mathematical impossibilities, the electromagnetic anomalies, the consciousness correlations, the ancient knowledge, the classified research programs, each piece of evidence stands alone as curious, but together they form a pattern that points toward an inescapable conclusion. Our Moon isn't the natural satellite we've been taught to believe it is. It's something far more extraordinary and far more unsettling. Whether you choose to accept the artificial construction hypothesis or dismiss it as elaborate coincidence, the questions raised by lunar research aren't going away. They're growing stronger with each new discovery, each declassified document, each advancement in our understanding of consciousness and electromagnetic influence on biological systems. The Moon has been humanity's silent companion throughout our entire evolutionary journey, watching, regulating, perhaps even guiding our development towards some greater cosmic purpose. If that's true, then we stand at a threshold where our cosmic education may be entering a new phase, one that requires us to consciously participate in our own evolution, rather than remaining unconscious subjects of a vast experiment. Tonight, when you step outside and look up at that familiar pale orb hanging in the darkness, remember that you may be gazing upon the greatest mystery our species has ever encountered. The answers to who we are, why we're here, and where we're heading may be written in that ancient light, waiting for us to develop the wisdom and courage to read them. The Moon keeps its secrets still, but perhaps not for much longer. The question isn't whether we're alone in the universe anymore. The question is whether we're ready to meet our cosmic neighbors and accept our invitation to join the galactic community that may have been patiently nurturing our development since before our species took its first breath.